All right, two most popular guys in football.
Yeah, two old men. So we launched the the membership this week.
Right.
So just people don't know, it's a different URL, but it's on under mine.
D1
It's
promo.
yeah, myfootballcamps.com/D1 promo. This is something we talked about after your Winterfest camp. Um, you know, we still have the offering of the one time, we still have the offering of the 6 month and all that stuff, but this felt more comfortable to me. Just giving people 6 months of social media promotion or 12 months of social media promotion. And what it does is we were doing it anyways, so that's kind of why we talked about it. Like if somebody DMs me and said, hey, can you, if they're a client, can you retweet this, or can you do a video of this workout I did, or whatever. I mean, we're doing it anyways. So it felt kind of weird to just sort of limit it to 6 times, even though we were doing like 8 to 12 for each person. So the membership includes, if you do the 6 month, it includes one free camp of yours, the 12 month, which is the real one, the year long one is the best one and the best value. That is 2 camps for you. And the year long one also includes the star ranking evaluation too, which is important. I had a kid talk to me this week. He's going away, but I'm going to talk to him next week when he gets back from vacation. He's asking me about stars, and he was very interested in stars, as most kids are. And he was saying, have any of your clients gotten star rankings on, 24/7 on 3 ESPN or Rivals? And the answer to that is yes. Jaffe, Andy Jaffe, the defensive back who's committed to Wake Forest, has a star ranking. Kyle Mosley, Malik Criswell, those guys don't have star rankings yet. Carson Kruger, FAU, Ben Hartman, Oregon State didn't get star rankings. But I tell them, I go, the star rankings don't mean anything. I mean, the rankings come with the offers. The offers that's our job to promote you, so you get offers. If you get offers, you'll get rankings. You will not get offers from rankings. Because somebody gives you 3 stars on one of those sites does not mean you're going to get an offer at all. But if you get an offer, you will get a star. And that's just how the system works, and it will never change. And that's the way it goes. Jaffe was a kid they didn't know about. He had and Parker Meese doesn't have a ranking yet either. I looked. He's our 2025 linebacker. He doesn't have a ranking yet because he's a 2025, but he will. But, Jaffe, they didn't know about Jaffe till he got Pitt, Wake Forest. He got some offers. Then they slapped the star ranking on him. That's how it works. So, you can get evaluated for a star ranking. Now, if we give you a star ranking of, 3 stars, 4 stars, whatever, maybe that's going to matter to coaches.
Definitely. I'll tell you,
we've been doing it for so long. Go ahead.
I'll tell you a little bit of the feedback that I've gotten on, because we're doing it, and obviously it's not limited to the guy. Obviously, if we accept you in the program, we're going to put you on the watch list, because we wouldn't accept you into our program if we don't think you're good enough to be a player. Then the star ranking thing, which you brought, which is a great point. We started doing star rankings. The guys that are a bona fide known about guys, we're giving them rankings. The guys that come through the program that we think belong, we will give rankings to, if they, like Mosley has a ranking, a star ranking. And so we will do that. The great thing about it is the feedback we've gotten from coaches is, and obviously you were in the system for so many years at Rivals, right? And you're, arguably the most respected guy in the industry from this standpoint, and definitely the first. There's no doubt. Everybody's followed. It's just like in the camps thing, everyone's kind of copied the model that we laid out, blew it out. Everyone's copied your system of evaluation. You know what I'm saying? So because we were very early on. What's interesting I found about the star process is that, and I've copied kind of your thing. I don't just look at I don't care what other people rate them at. Like, I have a whole watch list that, it's easy to get all the players that you need to look at, it's easy to get all those players. And we're just going through them one by one. And we're saying, hey, this is a guy. Like, I've seen guys that other places have rated 4 stars that I've watched their film, and I'm like, there's going to be something missing there, right? Now, 5 stars are kind of a hard miss, I think, as far as because they're way ahead of guys from a high school standpoint. Like the 30 or 40 guys that people have said it, they're usually jump so far off the film. But the guys, there are guys um, that I put a 5 star like on Carson Sui from it was at De La Salle. Now he's in Utah and he's quarterback. But he's listed kind of as an athlete because he was at De La Salle and they were, what are they, like wing T or whatever, right? And he was he throws the ball great, but like people put him at 4 star because he didn't throw a lot, right? Well, this guy to me is like a 5 star period athlete, whether he plays quarterback or not in college. I mean, he's gigantic, 6'5", he's 200 pounds, he can fly, he throws the ball real well. That looking at it a little bit differently from that perspective, I'm looking, and coaches have said, oh, I see this kid as a real player, and you kind of opened up the eyes in a different way. So we see that from a little bit different perspective. But I'm following how you kind of look at it. Like you've always looked at it like, is this guy going to have a chance to be like a pro? You know what I mean? Like, does he have the things to be a pro? That was what I always thought was so unique about your rating process at Rivals, was that you looked at it like, can this guy be a first round? Now, they all say that now, right? But like, you really were like, hey, like this kid I think could be a first round top 32 pick. And that I think is really, really intriguing because you see how it shakes out now. And I think a lot of like when they get to 4 stars and below, I don't know that they're really projecting it the way that you did. You really had a unique way of putting that approach, and you would say, this is why I thought he was
Well, we had to.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we had to because we were getting judged on the first round. So when these drafts would occur, back way back in the day and still now, there were articles that would come out, and this was in the early 2000s when the Bleacher Reports and complete SB Nations of the world started aggregating content and started writing about, a lot of their articles were about other content. So they would, at the end of the draft, they would take the list of first rounders and they would show the star ratings for Rivals. And we were like, whoa. So initially we ranked them based on, I remember the first few years we ranked, we had 50 something 5 stars. And we ranked them based on what we thought they would do in college. And then after a couple of years when they started, evaluating our rankings on a first round basis, and it changed everything. We had to adjust because if we're going to be ranking them based on how they are in college, it could be a 5'9", Steve Slayton for West Virginia way back in the day, or a Noel Devine. Those guys don't have pro measurables, but they were going to be great college players. We had to start looking at pro measurables more for each position and to try to project kids into the first round of the NFL draft. And it worked. I mean, we got a lot of the 5s and 4s got in there. So half of our 32 would be 5 and 4 stars. And then the other half would be made up of mostly 3s. And there's more 3s than 5s and 4s. So that makes sense. And then some 2s. But we had to do that. Now with this, and I tell people, listen, you get a star ranking on one of those sites. That's great. You can get a star ranking from some of these other companies that are selling star rankings. That's great. It's not going to hurt you ever, but it's really not going to help you. I don't know. We haven't done it yet with a client. We haven't, between the two of us, we haven't done it. We haven't star ranked a kid. You put 4 on Mosley, and I told you I kind of agree with that, and I would have to think, high 3, 4. I would have to debate it in my head.
He's the borderline. There's no doubt he's on the border.
Yeah, so I would have to debate it whether, but again, I don't know if coaches are going to care. Maybe they'll care more because it's us. Maybe they'll care less because it's us. I don't know. But people want it. And so it's something that we put as part of the social promotion. If you sign up for a year as a client, we're going to evaluate for a star ranking. Now, if you're really young, if you're 7th or 8th grade, we're not going to star rank you.
Put you on the watch list. We put you on the watch list.
Right, put you on the watch list. And there's a teetering borderline, the Josiah Oxidine kid who got Tennessee, who I'm trying to see if he He's funny, man. I like him. He's a really good kid, and he he wants promotion, but I'm like, you gotta sign up. Like I love him to death. He was one of our one timers, and now he's got Tennessee, and he's got a lot of rolling. He's got a great spring visit schedule and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's great. Do that. But he's DMing, tagging me, and everything, and I'm like, this is the part. I had a kid yesterday say, "Well, you don't even follow me. Why would I sign up for your promotion?" I said, "No, that's how it works. You sign up for the promotion. We'll follow you and promote you. If you don't, good luck. I wish you luck, but no, I'm not gonna. You're gonna tag me in all your tweets, and I'm gonna do it for free. No, it took years and years and years, and lots of honestly hard work and travel and expenses and blood, sweat, and tears to build up the following that we have. It's not free. So Oxidines in 2026, he would get a star ranking. If he became a year client, he would get a star ranking. I don't know if he needs one or doesn't. But 2027 is a little iffy. 2028 is too young. So one of the perks of it, if you sign up for the year, is you will get evaluated for a star ranking. More likely than not, you will get one if you're within the proper age grade. But you also get the 2 free camps of your camps. And you get, most importantly, the video promotion that we've been offering with our analysis over the top of it. And we will continue to churn that out. We'll do new videos here and there. We'll redo the old videos, but we'll keep you in the algorithm and keep your name out there. I put up an announcement. Tanner Huckfelt is one of our new clients, right? And with this comes some advice too. It's not like I'm not going to sit on the phone with somebody for an hour every day and discuss recruiting with you and what you should do in this. But if you're going to DM me a question, of course I'm going to answer it for you. So I put out an announcement that he was one of our new clients, and he instantly got a invitation to UPenn football. Now he's from Texas, but UPenn up in Eastern PA, to their summer camp. And he hits me up and he goes, what's this? And I said, that's because of the promotion. We haven't even done your video yet, but this is what's going to happen. He goes, well, should I go to it? I go, no. I go, here's what you do. You respond to it and you ask who the quarterback coach is, or you do your research yourself, find the quarterback coach because he's a quarterback, follow him and get a conversation going with that guy. And if he personally invites you to the camp, then you go. But you do not, spend your money to fly from, Texas to Penn for a camp that you got a DM solicitation to. But that's how it starts. But he didn't know, and how would he? So he asked me that question already. I've answered that question for it. I think we've given him some valuable advice right away. I mean, not that they would have gotten on a plane and flown immediately to Pennsylvania. They're going to do their due diligence and figure stuff out. But let's say they were that type of people who got excited and just said, oh my God, we got invited to UPenn. He's a 2025. Let's go. That could be $1,000 trip. And, that's part of the promotion too, is like our advice is going to save you a little bit of money. It's going to cost you money too, because our advice isn't free. It's funny because I was talking to Tanner's dad and they went to a camp, and I found him at a camp. And I reached out to him, and then he got me in touch with his dad, and they said, well, you paid X amount of dollars for that camp. I said, that paid off for you because you and I are talking right now about your son. I said, now you're going to have to spend more money for the promotion. So it's not going to sound like it paid off for you because now you got to put more money into it. But I said, because he went to that camp, because he got noticed, now you have the opportunity to get in this program, and this program is going to try to change everything for you. And so it's almost like you have to spend money to earn a $300,000 scholarship. You just have to, unless you're, Jeremiah Smith, 5-star wide receiver who's got 80 offers. But if you're not that guy, if you don't have a lot going on, you have to invest and you have to pay money to do it. And then we start the churn and the work. So I'm glad we got the membership thing going, and we'll probably add more perks to the membership as we go along. But right now it's a bargain. I mean, honestly, I think $1,000 for a year of us is the cheapest thing known to man. I mean, I can't even before it was 6 months for 1,000. Money's tight. I get it. Now there's absolutely no reason why somebody wouldn't pay $1,000 just for a year of Even if you don't get one video, which you will, of course, even if you don't get one retweet, which you will, of course, just the ability to DM me a stupid question, that's worth $1,000. I got consultant companies. I got a call later today with a consultant company. They want to pay me a lot of money to just give them advice on navigating through name, image, likeness in the recruiting world. And that's going to cost them a lot of money. So for a client to be able to just throw $1,000 and have it for 365 days a year, where they could just sort of out of the blue message when they need to, it's a bargain.
There's no doubt about it.
It's almost too cheap, Dave. It's almost too cheap.
Yeah, well, and wait till obviously we're doing the right now the upfront membership, but when we navigate through and develop the monthly, so it'll be a little more like so you're paying 1,000 for 12 months when you pay up front. It'll be a little more that it will end up working out to a little bit more than 1,000 by paying monthly, but you'll have the opportunity to pay monthly with you know. Where it only comes out each month from you, which is an amazing situation. I mean, there's nothing that you can be able to beat off of that. So those two opportunities are, if you want to save some money, you're going to save 40% by doing it up front. And that's how we're going to structure it. You're going to save a lot more by doing it up front. Benefits us, it benefits you. But
well, I can tell you right now, the price is going to go up eventually.
Right.
Because I've been talking to people and offering this, that, and the other. A year of social media retweets, DMs, camps, Starva. I'm just thinking it's so cheap right now. It's once we get full, it's going to go up. And the best part about this is I think it's such a good program, and I feel happiest about this one of most of all so far in selling it. We're going to be selective, I'm going to be, once it gets to the point where we are able to be selective, then it's going to be, more selective than ever before. And that's going to be more of exclusive. Now, would a, Cash Ferris, who just signed up for 6 months with us, would he be invited? Yes. I don't invite anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I don't DM anybody without looking at their film and feeling that they qualify. But we do get some people that, as this promotion grows, are going to DM us and say, I want to be part of it. And that's where it's going to be, a lot more exclusive. But I hate selling stuff. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Because I just always think that salespeople are trying to get one over on you and try to get money from you. And I've had multiple conversations, in-depth, hour-long conversations about this 1-year membership. And there's not one smidgen of doubt or guilt in my head that this is not a good investment. And I keep coming back to the fact that we're selling it too cheap. Not that we're going to raise our prices, because it is what it is.
And by the way, thinking out loud, which we're doing during this program, it should almost be Deep Thoughts by Coach Schuman and Mike Farrell.
Thoughts while shaving, even though we never shave.
We never shave.
While shaving.
When you're talking about, how really inexpensive it is, like me and you probably should, because obviously, remember, I was an agent for 6 years as well, the NFL side, right? And we should actually be talking to college programs about what really how NIL can be handled the right way and how it's looked at from all sides of it. Obviously, from the athlete and recruiting side, but also from the professional side of it, like what players are worth investing in, why are they worth investing in? Because I remember from an NFL side when I was an agent, players that we could get deals for, right? Like you had guys that were in the NFL. I had guys that were in the NFL that signed with me. I could not get a deal for. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't get them. Like the team didn't want to put them out as an appearance person. You know what I mean? Like he was a good player, but they didn't want him in public shaking hands with everybody. And then I had players that they did want people shaking hands with. You know what I mean? So those are when you're advising like college programs or companies on these things that are looking to get in now, there are some really important things on it because you don't when someone's pitching your product, you want someone that can pitch they could be a great player and be a great pitchman. They could be a great player and a horrible pitchman for your product, right? So those are all really important things, where you put your money and what collectives are involved and how there's definitely there's another business for us there.
Well, two parts of that. So that I was in, when NIL first started, I made a hefty investment to get into it, and it was a failed investment. It didn't work out, and it was a lot of lessons learned. And I dealt with a lot of millionaires and people who were, in my opinion, unscrupulously trying to bid to own the rights to players, and then there were some companies that were on the player side of things, like, we want to set up a platform where the players can control their own NIL and interact with the fans. And I like that part. There was a company, Booster Athletes. I don't know if they're still in business or not. I promoted them, for 3 months, and I liked their platform and their product because it was, this player is going to, Jordan Travis at Florida State is going to be able to put up his own content, not on Instagram, but on their own platform, their own app. And FSU fans are going to be able to donate money to him as a player for NIL. And then it got a little iffy, can fan bases donate to try to get a recruit in? And they can, but then it got a little iffy with the NCAA and stuff like that. But to your point, I don't mind dealing with NIL companies, but I'm very selective because there's so many unscrupulous, just awful people. And I ran in 80% of the people I ran into were just absolute horrible people, and 20% were good.
Well, that's the issue with it. That's definitely the issue with it, is that you're going to run into a lot of people that are just trying to jump into the game and don't really. The 6 years as an agent was very enlightening in a lot of ways, right? Because coming from the high school youth side, I would say, of everything, and reconnecting with players that had, whether they had signed with me or not, that, obviously had come through programs that are very prominent NFL players now, and reconnecting their families on that side of it. It's different when you're going from being the helper bee on the recruiting side to now being the representative on the agent side. And what I found really interesting was nobody, including some of the top level picks, had an idea of how to really navigate that process. We're all kind of working it on the fly and had to trust some people that they didn't know if they should trust or not. It was very, very interesting. And then the money dictated everything in the NFL side of it. Literally everything. Yes, you have the handful of people that are like, I really like you, I'm going to go with you for those reasons. But the truth is, if those reasons didn't match the money they could be making, they still weren't going to go there, even if they liked you, right? So and then the cutthroatedness of the NFL, meaning, and this part of it to an extent, at least on the player personnel side, I thought it was the most interesting thing because money dictated it. And it was like a yes, no answer through every player you ever would. It would be like, yeah, we're interested. No, we're like, not like in-depth conversations until after they knew if they were interested. So when bringing it all the way back to like what we do with the kids, you're actually on, as you go higher up the ladder, this process is a pyramid. And you're at the process right now where people are willing to help you, and you'll be able to find people that are, like us, that have the experience and have the right intentions. And then you'll have, as you get higher up the ladder, though, once you get towards the point where you're in college, even if you're a top player, there'll be people that'll be great people. There are people that grab at you. And then when you get to the next level, if you are lucky enough to get to the next level, it is only about that. And then you become very protective of your own world, right? Because there's not like, you don't really understand what everybody's looking to do, including sometimes your own team. You play on a team and then next year you're not on that team, right? So it's very interesting. And the coming back to the promo, the opportunity to really get in the mix with the experience that we have, it's so invaluable. It's like, the truth is, you're right. The price is we understand where people are financially, and there's some things that are going on in the financial marketplace that none of us are happy about. And there are some issues there. But as far as your investment in your future, this is a life-changing event in your future. So you can get yourself the opportunity that you want. And that's really what you're going to be able to get out of it. And you're never going to get, I say this over and over again. You're never going to get the experience that me and Mike has. Listen, we achieved a very high level, not because at the time when we started, we knew exactly where we were going with it. It's because we went through those pitfalls over the years. We learned the process. We learned how to value. We learned what college coaches are looking for. And a lot of it through hard knocks. So you don't have to learn those things. We can guide you through that. That's where the promo, like, put you in the right position, put you in the right light. The coaches are already coming to us as a hub because they are looking for people that they respect, and me and Mike happen to be those guys. It's just really, really true. But Mike, thought something funny came into my head, and I have to bring this up. Why does, and you know who the guy is, a particular former QB who loves to rip everybody in the whole wide world. It's very funny. But why does he goes after you every 15th episode? He online he goes after Mike Farrell for rating back in the day. You know who
Is
I'm
that
talking about?
you talking about Throw God?
Yes.
I don't know him. I think so a lot of people grew up in this business, so to speak, through rivals. I do a podcast with Thor Nystrom, Betting Pros podcast every Saturday during the football season, where we do picks against the spread. And I ran into Thor when he was at NBC, and he's like, I grew up on you, in high school and college. And Throw God looks older than that, but maybe he isn't. I don't know. But
He's younger. He was in the same. I don't know. He was Elite 11, like I want to say like 06, 05 range in that time period.
That from 2000 to 2010, when Rivals was growing exponentially, we went from 0 subscribers to over, 350,000 paid subscribers during that time. And then we were sold off to Yahoo in the late 2000s. Rivals was it. I mean, it was it. There was no ESPN. There was the Insiders, which turned into Scout, which was always secondary. There was no 24/7. There was no On 3. We were it. So anybody who's in that sweet spot of age, I've found there's sort of like a cult following to anybody who was anything at Rivals at that time. And I think it's funny because I see it a lot. I've run into a lot of people who say, I grew up reading you, or I became a fan and I got into the business because I was a fan. That's the era. So I think he's from that era. Like 2010 to 2020, I call at Rivals the camp years. That's when we did VTO, and then we turned VTO into Under Armour and Under Armour into Adidas, and now the camps are dying. The Rivals camps are just down to 6, and they're just dying. But the prime 2010 to 2020 was camps. 2000 to 2010 was subscriptions, and so I think in the camp world, a lot of people from that age group remember us for camps, but the older people from that 2000 to 2010, they remember us from rankings. So I assume that's why he throws it in there. I don't know.
It has to be. Well, he obviously was probably ranked by you because he said he was a 4. I can't remember if he said he was I think he was a 4 star. But I honestly I never looked it up to know. But I always find it so interesting because I think because that's probably right. 2008 was when we started doing stuff together.
What's his real name? Do we know?
Harrison something.
Harrison Beck. Oh no, he's got a hard on for me. He's an angry. That's Throw God.
That's Throw God. Harrison Beck.
Hey, oh my God. So this was a kid, and he should be kissing my ass because he was a kid who was committed in Nebraska, and he was okay. And he was always teetering on, should he be 101? Should he be 99?
Right.
But I think that was overranked, honestly. I really do think he was overranked. And I always made the final decision, and I always included him in that 100. And to be honest with you, it came down to, did I feel he was going to be more successful at Nebraska than some other kid was going to be more successful at a Michigan, where there's more quarterback competition? So he transferred, I believe, to NC State.
Yep.
But he wasn't very good. And so the fact that he got a high ranking from us, he should be thanking us. And he's bitter. He's an angry, bitter dude.
He's definitely angry.
He's an angry dude.
Yeah, that's who it is. That's who it is. Because I never knew his name, and then he's like done a few episodes where he's like he's actually said his name. I mean, he said where he always would say where he went to school, but I never knew.
Is he the dude with the shirt off and the beard?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Harrison Beck. He looks like crap.
That's Harrison Beck.
Well, he was never very good. So sorry, Harrison, but you were ranked too high. I mean, he stunk. He went to Nebraska, he stunk. He went to NC State, he stunk. So that's not my fault.
And then he went to, I think he ended at a Division II school with Bowden, who we threw for a million yards.
Much smaller school.
Yeah,
he had to drop down a few times, but yeah.
Yeah, that's who it is. Is that well? So every once in a while I'll see a video like Mike Farrell. I'm like, how does he know Mike Farrell?
I think he's from Florida. So this is the funny story about the Nebraska fans are absolutely insane. And back then they had the Florida Cali All-Star game, which was amazing. I loved it. It was great. And he was in the Florida Cali All-Star game, and I think I was there. I don't know if I was there or watching on TV or something. You know, he threw like 2 passes. One of them was behind the line of scrimmage that they called the pass, but it was really a handoff essentially. But he did like 2 passes, and it was, you know, they both went for okay yardage, I think. And the Nebraska fans are like, he should be a 5-star. And it was like, I could have completed those passes. Like, it was literally just laterals. And I remember there was such an outcry from the Nebraska fans after that game that I had to actually go on the Nebraska message board, the Red Squirrel Seas, I think it's called. And I said, listen, I mean, I know you guys love Nebraska. I know you guys love Nebraska football. I know you're rabid in every way. But this kid's not that good. Like, he's okay. You know, and they're like, oh, my God, you suck. You're so stupid. You're an idiot. And then he stinks, and then he transfers. And they're like, you were right. Oh, my God. But fans are nuts, and quarterbacks are nuts, and their parents are nuts. But I think he's, like, really taking it to the next level. Like, he's funny. He's really funny.
Very funny. He's very funny. Like, he's very, very funny. But you could see, though, like, there's under the humor part, which is, I think, is great. The like this actual anger. At first, I was like, wow, this is humorous because, like, you know, when someone just spouts off what they think, but then when you realize they're actually mad.
Ungalele, he calls him ukulele. I mean, it's funny. Funny
stuff. Yeah.
But he's mad.
But it's really what it is. Is mad, right? It's really mad.
Well, he's also, believe it or not, he's one of those dudes who types in all caps, which is a complete sign that you're a very angry lunatic. All caps. That's what he does. That's a psychological problem. That's a real issue. If you're an all caps typer, you've got some psychological problems.
Yes. There must be. It's actually funny. I just happened to see something. And I was like, gosh, why? It's like the 4th time I've heard him bring up Mike's name.
I didn't know they were the same person. I didn't know Harrison Beck was Throw God.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I didn't know except he started posting like pictures when he was in whatever Elite 11 with the guys or whatever, like his group of guys that were in there, who a lot of them became pros. You know, I can't remember who it was, but at the time. But it was very interesting. I want to go to 2 things because I know you got time crunch. First off, Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's other things we can talk because my son wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers. He's going to come to the Jets, but every day, like I get I guess it's one of the things of me being in football. He goes home from school, goes on TV, and he goes, so-and-so is going to go here and so-and-so is going to go here. And I'm like, you know more than I do about this thing. What are you doing? What do you just look at the ticker that goes below?
It's a really slow news cycle. So they talk about Aaron Rodgers every day and Lamar Jackson every day. There's nothing to talk about football except for that.
So Lamar, are they going to franchise tag him so they can avoid contracting him? Is
They
that
did franchise
franchise?
them. So
Yeah.
there's two franchise tags. There's the exclusive, which is, we're going to pay you within the average salary. I believe it's top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and you can't go anywhere. And we can do this for 2 straight years. It's what Kirk Cousins made his money on through back when the Redskins were franchising him. So it gives you a great deal of money because the top 5 average quarterback salaries are crazy. And then there's the non-exclusive, which is lesser money, and it allows him to negotiate with other teams. And then the Ravens get an opportunity to match any deal that he gets if they want to keep him, or they get compensated 2 first rounders if somebody signs him. So what's happened is they did the non-exclusive franchise, and now there's very little interest in Lamar Jackson. A team that would have to give up 2 first rounders and the guaranteed money that he wants. He wants Deshaun Watson money. Now, the Browns gave Deshaun Watson an unbelievably ridiculous $200 million guaranteed deal. And the owner, I forget his name.
Haslam.
He pissed off so many of the other owners because he set the market so high for quarterbacks with guaranteed money. So what I believe is happening here is the non-exclusive franchise tag. I think there's collusion occurring. I think the owners have all gotten together and said, listen, Haslam overpaid for Deshaun. Now Lamar wants 200 plus million guaranteed. Deshaun may be good, maybe not. I mean, last year, obviously, he was playing after a couple of years out, and he wasn't very good. We're not doing this. And the other problem that people see with Lamar is that he quit on his team and in their minds. He missed the last 5 games, but he didn't even travel to the playoff game.
Right.
And there's a big mistake on his part because all you have to do is travel to the game, stay on the sidelines, cheer, and the perception is you're a team guy. But if you don't go, then it's perception you're a selfish, non-good teammate. So now you've got the durability questions. You've also got these deals for guys that used to run and can't anymore. Russell Wilson is a tremendous example. They gave him so much guaranteed money that Seattle was crippled, and then they had to trade him, and Denver is now crippled with his contract, and he's not the person he was before because A, he's not as willing to run, and B, he can't run as well, and Lamar's that type of guy. And then there's the injury question too, where a guy is a runner, and eventually the injuries catch up to him. So there's not a big market for Lamar Jackson. Now, will he sign with somebody? I don't think he's ever going to play for the Ravens again because the non-exclusive franchise tag puts him, I think, in the mid 20 million a year, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. So he would have to risk his career and injury for that type of money. For a team that won't give him guaranteed money. So he's bitter. The Ravens are bitter. That's never going to work out. I just don't know if anybody's going to pony up enough money for him to really, be of service to somebody.
Well, I think it's brought to light in the last couple of years the survival rate of a quarterback that runs a lot, right? And to me, I really think just all these years in the NFL has changed in some aspects, but some aspects have not. And one of the aspects to me that has not changed is the healthier your good quarterback can be, the better chance you have to win, especially down the line in the playoffs, right? So the quarterback being a runner, having the ability to run and get a first down like Mahomes or Josh Allen, definitely is an important thing. But the ability to be a running quarterback, I don't know that I see the value of a running quarterback. Yes, you might get a year or two, like you do with running backs. Okay, a great running back gives you 3 or 4 great years, right?
Well, Cam Newton's a great example. He was one of the MVP, brought him to the Super Bowl. He lasted about 6 years before he started to really regress.
And they regress fast because if you're relying on running to be about 50% of your capability quotient, when that 50% goes away, you're in a lot of trouble. And I always say, like Randall Cunningham, this is going way back because probably half of the people that watch us don't even know who Randall Cunningham is. Randall Cunningham was, I remember it was like, who was a quarterback with him? Ron Jaworski. They would bring him in to run and stuff like that and run around. And he would throw occasionally. And he was effective backup in that aspect. Then he became the starter, was pretty good. But really, his best years were when he was with the Vikings and he couldn't run a lick anymore. He couldn't even move. He somehow figured out how to become a better passer, and he had a couple of really good years at that time period. And the truth of the matter is, he spent so much time running that if he had developed what ended up being really a good asset for him early on, he might have been a really good quarterback all the way through. But the reliance on the running ability puts you in a situation where you take unnecessary shots. You take, you could become a guy that all of a sudden you wake up one day and you no longer can actually run like at all. People don't realize the NFL is so physical that these guys, one day, the knee just is not the same knee, whether you get it cleaned out 100 times or not, and you're not moving at the same pace. It's I saw a great thing with Mark Schlereth. You know Mark Schlereth, right? To encapsulate in like 20 seconds, basically, he was at the end, near the end of his career, and he some guy had like 3 sacks on him. He could barely move. He's in film. They're watching film the next day of a practice or whatever. A few days later, practice, and he's going, and he didn't have his glasses on. He's squinting because he can't see. He's like, "Geez, this guy's terrible." Who's playing line? He's never gonna make it. He thought he's watching like a backup. You know what I mean? Practice, and he realized it was him.
Hmm.
He said he played in one more game. He played 7 plays. He couldn't move, and then he walked off. He got his quarterback sacked like 2 more times, and he just walked off the sideline. He said, "I can't do it anymore. That's it." Like,
Yep.
so, you know, it happens faster than you think, and people don't realize because they think, "Oh, he was great last year, and why can't he run?" You don't understand the legs, man. That's like a tire. That tire gets damaged. It's not the same tire. You could patch it, but it probably is not going to ride as well. And maybe you get one more year out of it, but then after that, it's done. And
Yeah, and
that's
he's
what
had
happened.
injuries too. So he's missed ends of seasons with injuries, and so there's wear and tear on him. And so that's the thing. Like let's say you sign a deal with Lamar Jackson, 5 years, 250, all guaranteed. Are 3 of those years going to be Lamar Jackson, the pocket passer, who is completely ineffective? Not that he's a horrible pocket passer, but without the threat of run, he's much easier to defend. You know, and then you got Russell Wilson on your hands, and your team is strapped. So the Ravens are very smart here. I mean, they've always been a shrewd franchise when it comes to that, and they don't want to put this much guaranteed money into a guy, that has won one playoff game and hasn't brought them anywhere close to a Super Bowl. B, missed the end of last season and then didn't travel with the team to support the team in the playoffs. And C, who may not have a lot of shelf life as a runner left. So it's business. It's just the way it is. I mean, I grew up in New England. I've been here the last, 20 plus years. This is how Belichick does it. You've reached a certain level of performance and you're out. I don't care if you're a Hall of Famer. I don't care who you are. We're just not going to guarantee and put a big, contract on you. You can go elsewhere and prove us wrong if you want to, but we're
Yeah.
not going to, damage our franchise and our salary cap for you. And so Lamar will find a home. He's not going to get
Oh,
the
of course.
Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson. He wants more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson got. He's not going to get that. He'll find a home, but it could be, I saw RG3, who I like, but I think he's a little jaded when it comes to this. Is Lamar Jackson is not a racial issue, but people want to make it that. I saw Derek Carr and Daniel Jones got paid, and I saw a lot of people saying, "Well, the white quarterbacks are getting paid," and I'm like, I just mentioned Russell Wilson, who got tons of money. Patrick Mahomes has, I still think, the
400
most.
million.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got the biggest contract out there. On and on. Jalen Hurts is going to get paid. Dak got paid a ridiculous amount of money.
Geno
It's
Smith
not.
got paid.
Yeah. Geno Smith just got. It's not that issue, but people want to make it that issue. So it's like, okay, they're not paying Lamar because he's an African American quarterback. No, it's all the things we're talking about. It has nothing to do with that. So he will find a home. But RG3 was saying, well, why would the Seahawks trade all that capital, including DJ Moore, up to get number one to get a quarterback when they could just sign Lamar? No. First of all, Lamar wants $200+ million guaranteed. The number one pick in the draft is capped out. I think he makes what, $8 million? You know, I think in his fourth year he could make 23. I mean, fifth year he could make 23. You're talking about, you know, $40 million quarterback at number one versus a $200 million quarterback taking Lamar. You're also talking about a guy that may not be as good as Lamar, but doesn't have 5 years of wear and tear. Like, Carolina's in a rebuild. Getting Lamar for $200 million ain't going to help them. You know, going on C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, that will help them. But it became that type of thing, and it's kind of funny that it becomes that type of thing because, you know, C.J. Stroud's an African-American quarterback. Bryce Young's an African-American quarterback. It's like, that's not a thing anymore. I'm sorry. It's just not. You can't make it into something that it's not. He's just not a good investment for a lot of teams right now. If you're a team that wants to get over the top and you're on the cusp of a Super Bowl and you don't have a quarterback, maybe you go on him. But the team that I'm describing is San Francisco, right? They're not going to revamp their entire offense for what he does. You know, they're not going to hire Greg Roman, who was the coordinator there for Colin Kaepernick, and he was the coordinator for Lamar in Baltimore. He just got fired. They're not going to revamp their entire offense for this guy. So it also has to be a team that's on the cusp of winning that can work their offense around Lamar's skill set, and that's tough. Maybe there's one or two teams, you know, and those guys probably have quarterbacks already. So he's in a tough spot. Now, again, tough spot's relative. You know, I'm doing a podcast in my car. You know, Lamar's he's gonna make $150 million.
Yes.
You know, so I don't feel bad for him. But this whole, you know, agenda-driven, you know, this is, you know, Derek Carr gets paid and Lamar can't. It's a lot more than, you know,
but they
white
don't realize
versus black.
It's marketplace value. This is what I learned is in the NFL, and this is why I 100% agree with you. It's ridiculous. The only thing I found when I was an agent that the player personnel, the GM, the coaches care about, the only thing is trying to win a championship at whatever their financial value ability is, okay? Because everybody has different cap space and different, you know, room to move. But they're all trying to figure it out from with those two things, right? There's a cap. So there's a financial value cap that you have to distribute among players, which people just like somehow throw out when they're trying to figure these things out. Like the team has to figure out, this is the X amount of money we could spend. Okay, we have these players. We have to pay him. We have to pay him. We have to pay him. And then, oh, by the way, we also have to pay this person. They have to figure that out. At the same time, how can we maximize the value in order to win as many games as possible and hopefully a Super Bowl, right? They're trying to figure those two things out. And I'm telling you, they didn't care if you didn't fit into that value complex. It didn't matter. You had to fit in there so they could get those two things done. Now, listen, if it was pro baseball, right, where there's no cap, then you could pay everyone you want. And if you have the money, you know, like the Yankees, for example, will try to do over and over again, pay everyone they can, the highest amount, and maybe they win a championship. And if they don't, they retool it again, pay other guys to do it. The NFL is not like that. There is literally a cap. So if you can't get the most out of that value of money you have, you are going to lose. That's how you get in a situation like Carolina's in. Like at one point you pay somebody too much money. They don't provide that value. You're stuck with all that money. It affects your organization 5 years from now. Literally 5 years from now, you're not going to win because you paid this guy now and you're still paying him 3 or 4 years later. He's on a different team. That's what people don't realize, that this is a business. This is Amazon.com. This is, you know, Microsoft. And they have limitations within their world that they have to go in order to get the most value that they can.
I'm going to let you wrap this up because I got a call in 1 minute. So hit the promo, and then we'll
Here
talk to
it
you.
is.
See ya. I got to go.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll see you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Like, subscribe. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe. We're going to keep touching on all the great things. For football promotion for high school players, go to myfootballcamps.com/D1 if you want to do the monthly promos or our new membership yearly 6-month or 1 year with all the perks it has. Myfootballcamps.com/D1 promo. See you next week.